I'm Aishlyn, welcome back to Collection Cut Down. We have a bonus video today, Alien 3, and it's a bonus video because I had never seen it before today. I promised myself a long time ago that if I ever saw Alien and Aliens again, which I knew I would, then that would be the time I'd have to watch Alien 3. And I'd avoided it till now because I know what happens in the beginning, and I was not happy about it. But I've kept the promise to myself and I have now seen Alien 3. Despite the internet telling me that the assembly cut was better than the theatrical cut, I ended up watching the theatrical cut purely because I just couldn't face a 2.5-hour movie today. I'm sorry. However, the theatrical cut is the one that people complain about because that's the one most people have seen. So I kind of think it's a good idea for me to see the theatrical cut just so I get the full scope of why people are mad about this film. So here's the deal. I am forever going to be bitter for what they did to Hicks and Newt, and that movie did not change this. It was never going to change this because, as I discussed in my Aliens review, I loved that ending. I loved those characters. I loved what they did for Ripley, you know, in terms of her narrative arc. So to have them unceremoniously killed off in the opening of this, it infuriates me as it infuriated many people. To give credit where credit's due, I can understand why they may have made the narrative choice to kill off Ripley's support system. In the first movie, part of the excitement and joy of the film was seeing her alone battling against the alien. So to take away her support system and send her back to that place, I can understand why people would think that that might be an exciting thing to see on screen again, to bring it back to its roots in that sense. However, I feel like as a character she'd already grown past that, she'd done it, and to bring her back to a point where nobody believes her and she doesn't have a support system again, it feels like it's retreading the same ground that we have already seen for that character. And it, quite apart from the fact that it was a letdown to have Hicks and Newt die because I loved them as characters, it also felt regressive for Ripley, who is obviously the most important part of the Alien franchise. And if you're going to kill off Newt and Hicks, then at least give them a proper death, you know, not an off-screen kind of throwaway. It was just very frustrating, and it wasn't what I wanted for the character, and I think it was probably not what anybody really wanted or expected from this film going into it, and I can see why people are mad. I also feel that maybe they made the decision to kill off Newt and Hicks because they wanted Ripley to die at the end, and I think that that arc does make a lot more sense in the film that we're given. She's more willing to make that ultimate sacrifice because she has nobody to live for. I think if she still had Newt and Hicks, maybe she wouldn't have made that choice, but I think if they had done that, it would have been far more poignant because she would have had to give up things that she loved and a future she wanted to live for in order to make that sacrifice to kill off the alien. Whereas in the movie that we see as it is, all she has left is her own life, and after what she's been through, it makes perfect sense that she would want to sacrifice herself to kill the alien, you know? I think that they missed an opportunity to have more emotional depth there. This movie had a famously troubled production, and I think that is obvious in some places on screen, particularly with the continuity errors in the beginning. You know, she's clean one minute, dirty the next, and how the alien actually got into her when we saw in the beginning that it had attached itself to Newt. But more than the continuity errors like that, the thing that really kind of annoyed me was how they messed with the alien mythology that had been established in the first two films. Like the fact that for no explained reason the alien wasn't cocooning people, it was just killing them. Having characters run away from the alien, whereas before that wasn't really an option. Can overlook some continuity errors, particularly when I know that there's a reason for them. But messing with the mythology that we all know and love, that was kind of annoying for me. I will mention that I quite liked the idea of a prison with no weapons and having to defeat the alien in that scenario. Particularly after Aliens and seeing them battle these creatures with high-powered, you know, advanced weaponry, and then to have to go back to really primitive methods of trying to kill it. I did think that that was interesting, and I will give them credit for that. However, of course it meant it was a prison, so they had to be rapists and murderers and child molesters, and I was not happy about that, as you may not be surprised to hear. I've said before that I'm over rape and threats of rape for female characters. It just really annoys me as a storyline now, and I don't have much interest in it. And that was a really prevailing thing in this movie, including one scene of attempted gang rape, and obviously I didn't enjoy watching that, and it really kind of peeved me that that was, they set up the storyline that way, so there was no way around it. Like, if you're gonna have a prison, why not have a female prison, or a prison of white-collar criminals or something? Like, why set it up so that's the only avenue you can go? It really peeved me, and I wish that had been different. I also wish it had been different, not just because I don't enjoy scenes like that, but because it made it very difficult for me to like and empathize with these other characters. Other than Ripley, most of them were awful, other than Charles Dance's character. And so when they start getting killed off by the alien, I just didn't care. And that's a shame, because I did feel like in the first two movies, they did a good job of making me, even if I didn't love the characters, I liked them enough that it was upsetting to see them be killed. I don't want to be cheering for the alien, you know? I mentioned Charles Dance, and I didn't mind his character in this. I found him fairly sympathetic. I like Charles Dance purely because he gives a lot of gravitas to the roles he's in, and that was no different here. However, I don't think that his relationship with Ripley made a lot of sense for me from a character standpoint, because this is a woman who had been highly traumatized, and in her timeline it had only just happened, this escape from the alien, you know? And to be in a place where she's being threatened with sexual violence, and, you know, everything could be going wrong at any moment, she's still not entirely sure that she defeated the alien, and on her mind is sex. I didn't quite buy it, because I'm all for a woman, you know, having any kind of sex she wants, as long as it's all consensual and everything. But for me, I don't really feel like that was in Ripley's character, at least not in that moment. There was way too much going on, and I really didn't think that it needed to be there. In one way, it was nice that Ripley got something good and something she wanted, and it was a moment of intimacy and connection which she had been missing for some time, particularly through all the horrors she'd been through. But on the other hand, I really didn't feel like that was where her mind would be at in that moment, and it really just felt out of place for me. It's possible other people have different opinions on that, you know, we all interpret things differently, and that's fine. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily right, but for me it just didn't quite work, no matter how much I liked both characters. I know I'm giving this film a lot of grief, and part of me feels like it deserves it, but I think that's really just because it wasn't the movie I wanted it to be, and it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. But really, if I try and look at it from an outsider's perspective, you know, if this was not in the Alien franchise, I wouldn't have hated this film. Obviously, there's elements in it that I wouldn't have liked in any film, particularly, you know, the rape threats and stuff. But overall, it's fine, you know? It's not nearly as good as the first two, and I think that's really the main problem, is that it just didn't live up to its predecessors, and it didn't continue the story in a way that the fans of the series found satisfying. However, it's okay. You know, it's not the worst film I've seen, and I've seen a lot of bad films. It's not one that I really feel I'll need to watch again, particularly because I am still mad about Hicks and Newt, sorry, but I am. But like I said, it had some good ideas. The idea of trying to defeat the alien with no weapons is a good one. And again, it's in an isolated, contained location, which I love. It's got Ripley, who I love regardless of all the nonsense surrounding her. So yeah, if it hadn't been an Alien movie, it would have been alright and probably a lot more enjoyable for me. But it is what it is. It is part of the Alien franchise, and therefore it is a disappointment, particularly after seeing it so soon after seeing 1 and 2. However, because I am who I am going to keep the DVD, because I do feel like I need to complete the whole collection. It's one of those ones that maybe one day I'll revisit and get rid of if I ever feel like I can break up collections. What did you think of Alien 3? Are you with the masses and think that it's not very good? Did you like the assembly cut, which I've still never seen and maybe one day will? Let me know, and let me know how you feel about the franchise as a whole. I always love hearing from people. Like, subscribe, comment, all of that sort of stuff. But otherwise, goodbye for now, and happy watching.